That is quite a vision. That is a beautiful sight. So thank you for what a welcome. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Welcome to our Wednesday, February 7th, 2024 Board of Education meeting. At this time, we would like Nicole Scallett to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Ms. Germano, any changes to the meeting agenda?
Yes, we have 2 items. Item 9P, approval of stipulation of settlement and release between the Three Village Central School District and the employee named in the attached confidential Schedule A. And item 9Q, approval of the memorandum of agreement between the Three Village Central School District and the Three Village Teachers Association regarding a one-time retirement incentive.
Thank you very much. And at this time, I would like to entertain a motion to move our public comment period up to this portion of the meeting. Do I have a motion? Second? All in favor? Thank you so much. All right, so we will go right now into our public comment period. Do we have anybody signed up?
No submissions, just 1 email.
Okay, terrific. So this is from Shoshana Hershkowitz. Thank you for taking the time to read this. I regret that I cannot attend in person due to my work schedule. I'm one of many parents and residents of this district who is deeply concerned with the governor's proposed budget cuts to school aid. Ending the hold harmless provision is problematic for many school districts across the state, and it is crucial that the state legislature correct this in their one-house budgets and negotiations with the executive for the coming fiscal year. Every child, regardless of their zip code, deserves a high-quality public education, and the funding must be there to ensure that. With that said, I am concerned that the recent press conference at Three Village became the ground for elected officials and their supporters to use our children as pawns in their political arguments and ambitions. Our community should not be the place to take partisan political shots. The focus needs to be on solutions that work for our community. Since our elected officials have used this community to launch their re-election campaigns, it seems appropriate to look at their voting records on education funding. In 2023, New York schools received historic levels of foundation aid after a decades-long fight for fiscal equity. It's important to note that every state-level elected official who stood in our community voted against the budget that provided that record funding. At the federal level, our representative has voted for a failed budget that cut funding to Title I schools, and just recently voted against the child tax credit expansion that would lift 500,000 children in this country out of poverty. Then, just as now, our children are pawns for partisan politics. I will add that scapegoating asylum seekers, as these elected officials are doing, makes our communities less safe. Many of the asylum seekers who come here are children. The rhetoric elected officials are using to discuss this issue makes those and all children less safe. We don't have to look too far to see how this is impacting Suffolk County. Just a couple of weeks ago, there was graffiti in Central Islip that said, "Kill all illegals." The murder of Marcelo Lucero by a group of teenage boys in Patchogue in 2008 should be a reminder to all of us that our children are watching, and the words we use and the way we act do not go unnoticed by them. I urge our district to work with elected officials of both parties to advocate for the full restoration of foundation aid to public schools. I caution our community against allowing our children to become pawns for local politicians in their re-election bids. I urge everyone to examine the records of these elected officials whose previous votes have not supported full funding for public education and ask them to put their money where their mouths are. Finally, let us not fall into the often repeated regrettable history of blaming immigrants for our problems. It makes our communities and the children who live in them less safe. Thank you. All right, now we get to go to a most favorite part of our meeting, always, our student and staff recognition, and we'll turn it over now to Dr. Scanlon.
So it's my honor to introduce Mr. Doug Elliott, one of our English teachers over at Gillian's Junior High School, to introduce the honorees from Moot Court. That side.
We're used to being on the clock in what we do, so I just wanted to ask. Good evening, everybody. I couldn't help on the way, and I asked Corinne where the plaque was for her dad, because whenever I come into this room, I still hear his voice, Bill Connor's voice, and the first time I was invited to speak at a board meeting was actually on Nichols Road, and so a few decades ago, and he was the president of the board at that time, and then I got to thinking about Kevin Scanlon being my chairperson at Jolinas a few decades ago. Vinny Vizzo's not here, but 30 years ago I used to eat breakfast in Vinny's office when I was a brand new teacher. And I was thinking about what makes this district so great as a teacher and for our students. And the one consistent thing that I've seen during the time that I've been here is that we have such a commitment to academic freedom, and we don't treat school as a bunch of boxes to be checked, right? We know that's part of the game, but when we have that academic freedom, then we have explorers like the kids that are with me tonight, and that I've been able to be as an educator. So thank you for that. And as you tilt towards the future in this room, I hope you'll keep that in mind and keep that ethos alive. So I'm going to introduce you to my fellow explorers tonight, the 2023 Suffolk County Moot Court champions, and then I'm going to have a few of them speak, if that's all right, with your permission. So first we have Olivia Miller and Jordan Conrad, and our presidents and seniors, Ella O'Connor and Anna Patekin. And I'd like to turn the mic to them for a second after a round of applause from the room. So thank you. They're just going to speak a little bit about what moot court is, because nobody knows.
So, hi everyone. My name is Anna Patekin, and it's my co-president, wonderful co-president, Ella O'Connor. We competed in moot court this past November, which is a competition in which we research and write and memorize speeches on constitutional issues. We went down to the courthouse in Central Islip and were able to argue cases on the First and Fourth Amendments concerning a constitutional issue at a Supreme Court level. These judges were interrupting us, arguing back at us, but in the end, due to our wonderful coaching from Mr. Prokop and Mr. Elliott, we were able to emerge as Suffolk County champions. Thank you.
I think I speak for all of us when I say that participating in moot court and mock trial has been one of the best parts of our high school careers. It significantly changed the trajectory of my life and your lives as well, to one where we hope will be in the pursuit of public service. I was thinking about this and I realized that moot court mock trial is the epitome of the phrase, "it takes a village," from the judges who are throwing questions at us left and right, to our incredible attorney advisor, Mr. Prokop, and of course the formidable Mr. Elliott. It's just truly amazing to see all of these people who dedicate so much time and energy to this program when they receive so little in return, except it's purely for the love of academia, for the love of academic exploration and civic engagement. And it's just such a wonderful program, and I'm so grateful to have been a part of it.
Sorry.
I'm back. So Elle and I talked a little bit before this, and we agreed that now is the place to say it, but we just really wanted to emphasize that Mr. Douglas Elliott has been among, if not the most inspiring educator of our academic lives as seniors in high school, and we just have to thank him for teaching us what hard work is, from these 8-hour prep sessions when we're nerding out about legal precedent, to this prioritization of communication both as public speakers at the podium and within the team, so we could really become best friends in addition to co-researchers. So thank you so much, Mr. Elliott, and thank you so much to Mr. Scanlon and the Board of Ed for helping us out. And I think we have a present for Mr. Scanlon, our photograph. I'm so sorry, Dr. Scanlon. Do you want to go?
As a sign of gratitude to Dr. Scanlon and the entire school board for promoting our club and for our program, we have a photograph of our team for your office. Can we come over? May I bench? Exactly. I was about to say it.
Can we take a picture?
Absolutely, absolutely. Just right next to Mr. Motto right here. We're gonna go, you want us to the front? We're gonna go up to the front.
We're gonna go this way. Come on, follow me.
Follow the president. Chris, So I want to thank the entire moot court team and all the advisors and volunteers that have worked with you all these years. It was interesting that how this all got started. When I was in Dr. Viscari's role about 11 years ago, Mr. Elliott and I, as he said, go way back. I was his chairperson at Chalinas for 2 years. I started there after another chairperson. I was at Ward Melville High School for the first 5 years of my career in Three Village, and he welcomed me with open arms. And he's been a close ally and friend all these years. I'm going to get choked up. So he's going to be desperately missed in his retirement. So congratulations, Mr. Elliott, on your retirement.
I will second my congratulations to all of the students and also to Mr. Elliott. You're one of the few teachers all 4 of my kids have had and loved and thrived with. So congratulations. Have a lot of fun in retirement. And congratulations, you amazing young ladies. Keep going. All right, we're going to keep it with Dr. Scanlon now and move on to 5B.
So it's my honor. I got to get this on. Who have been working with a program, which I'm going to read off their mission statement off of their website, that not many people may know about. This group of students belong to the Lieutenant Michael Murphy Navy SEAL Cadets, Sea Cadets. If you're not familiar with who Lieutenant Michael Murphy is, he's one of several Medal of Honor winners in the United States, but particularly from Long Island. I'm going to read their mission statement. The U.S. Naval Sea Cadets Corps is a nonprofit leadership development program for ages 10 through the completion of high school. They have nearly 400 units in 46 states, including Guam and also Puerto Rico. The Navy, the cadets wear Navy uniforms and can train aboard naval ships on naval bases. Their compelling training program occurs around the country during school vacations and covers various career fields. The program changes lives by exposing cadets to new challenges and teaching them important skills like leadership and teamwork. So tonight we get to honor a group of these fine young people here, and I'm going to read off their names, off their certificates, and what they've accomplished. So the first is Carmine Gironda, who, in recognition of graduating Advanced Training Command, Newport Naval Base, Rhode Island, Emergency Medical Seminar Honor Cadet. Not to be outdone by his sister, we got to make sure we get it all done in here. In recognition, Kate Gironda, in recognition of graduating Advanced Training Command, Newport Naval Base, Rhode Island, Petty Officer Leadership. For Tyler Nidos, in recognition of graduating Advanced Training Command, Newport Naval Base, Rhode Island, Petty Officer Leadership. And for Molly Siegel, in recognition of completion of recruit training. And for Lily Kukta, in recognition of completion of recruit training. Now we get to take a picture with all of you.
Way to go, hey you.
Hey, you. So we have a couple of people in the room here up at the dais who have also served in the military. Dr. Kerman, who served in the U.S. Army. How many years were you in?
2.
2 years. Mr. Carlson, who served on the USS Carl Vinson. How many years were you in, Jeff?
4 active, 12 reserve.
And I was 8 years in the Naval Reserves, but every ship I served on, it was either scrapped or sold to another country. So I'm the Black Widow of the Navy, so you don't want to keep me around. It was truly an honor to honor all of you and our moot court folks tonight. We very much appreciate you being here. We're also conscious that you're all students and you probably have to have an early day tomorrow, so no one's going to take any offense if you want to get up and walk out right now. So congratulations and thank you for coming. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
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 All right. We're going to continue on now with item 6A, our student representative report from Nicole Scala.
Good evening, everyone. I come to you tonight after the final close of the second quarter. I hope everyone did well on their midterms. As we embark on third quarter, students begin planning their schedules for next year. Guidance has recently visited the classes of current sophomores and juniors to discuss requirements for graduation and different opportunities students have when it comes to elective classes. As underclassmen select courses for next year, many seniors are waiting for college decisions to come in. I know this can be a very stressful time of year for all students, but just remember to have a positive attitude and to keep pushing through. In honor of Black History Month, regular announcements are made by Dr. Gold and Mrs. Beauchamp, the Social Studies Department Chair, about people of color who have made a difference both in the United States and around the world. The gallery walk will be on display in the hallway in front of the auditorium to recognize people of color who have contributed to the sciences, math, literature, and history for staff and students to learn about and appreciate this month. A lot going on with student government over the next few weeks. At tomorrow's meeting after school, student government presents our biggest fundraiser of the year, Raffles for a Cause. This year as a club, we've raised almost $4,000 for the club's organization of choice, the Adoption Center. Here, hundreds of animals are rescued, rehabilitated, and given a new home after being abandoned, abused, neglected, sick, or otherwise unwanted. The organization also works to educate people and stimulate interest and concern in the prevention of abuse and neglect of cats and dogs. Thanks to our dedicated members and my diligent executive board, we are so excited to donate all proceeds and make a true difference in the lives of these animals. At next week's meeting, we have an extra special guest coming to address students at our town hall. All students, not just student government members, have been submitting their questions about recent changes that will have a major impact on the norm for students. We are excited to be having the one and only Dr. Scanlon come and talk directly to our students and address arising questions in person. Tomorrow night, the Three Village Advisory Board presents the Career Fair. Beginning at 6:30 p.m., students and their families will have the opportunity to initiate connections and conversations with local businesses and explore potential career paths they might want to pursue in the future. On Friday night, the Triumph Music Honor Society hosts their annual Ward Melville's Got Talent. Talented students compete to win the prize and claim the title. Tickets are on sale this week in the Commons for $5. There will be some guest judges, so be sure to be there to find out. All money raised goes towards senior scholarships. If you're considering going, I definitely recommend coming to support our fantastic music department. The Ward Melville players just completed their one-act performances. Huge congratulations to everyone involved in those shows. In addition, I wanted to recognize Ward Melville's Regeneron winners, as well as students part of the Science Olympiad team and Science Bowl on their most recent accomplishments. I hope everyone gets a chance to relax and enjoy February break in just 2 weeks.
Thank you so much. Great job. All right, we're going to move on to 6B, our social studies report. I turn it over to Dr. Piscari.
Yeah, at this time I'd like to introduce Ms. Beauchamp, who is our coordinating chairperson for social studies, to present to you all of the ongoing happenings in the world of social studies, as well as future goals for the department.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me. I'm here to present the do's and all happening things going on in social studies in the past couple of years. So here we go. Hopefully it's pretty. Let's see. Can I get this to go? There we go. All right. So the mission and vision of the Social Studies Department is fairly simple: to provide students with a balanced and robust understanding of the world so that they have the knowledge and critical thinking skills to be informed citizens. The department provides both academic and extracurricular opportunities for students at all levels. Okay. All right, a little bit of an outline for you. Here we go. Okay, the Community Connection is created through a variety of websites that are all connected to the Social Studies Department website. These sites contain information about course offerings, important historical events, calendars, and details about the New York State City Civic Seal of Readiness. So if you click on one, it'll take you to all three. Oops, sorry, back one. All right. The Social Studies Framework, which you see here, known as the components of New York State standards for K through 12 social studies, allow for students to develop an understanding of concepts and key ideas through the use of inquiry, analysis of primary source and secondary sources. Teachers continue to have decision-making power about how to teach and illustrate key ideas and conceptual understandings to promote student understanding. Thank you so much for giving them the freedom to do that. New York State Social Studies standards for grades 7 through 12 have been in effect since 2017, and as students move through each grade, the depth and breadth of the content expands, building the historical thinking skills that will prepare them for the newly formatted Regents exams in grade 10 and 11. And I'll go into a little more detail on the Regents exam in a bit. All right. Going through just some of our coursework, starting with our junior high school. This is really cool. All right, let's see, where am I? All right, students in 7th and 8th grade begin their historical coursework with the study of U.S. history. The 9th graders begin their first high school course with the study of Global History 1. And the honors students in the Global History 1 program are provided with an introduction to AP writing skills that will help them should they be recommended into AP World History Modern in grade 10. This year, with the introduction of the honors level in grade 10, the Ward Melville Global teachers visited both junior high schools and spoke to the students about the differences between the programs to help them gain a better understanding of what the levels require of them and where they would best be placed to be the most successful in their academic careers. And this will also help them inform and talk to their parents about what they want as students. Okay, moving on to the high school, anything with a graduation cap is a requirement for graduation. All right, looking here at the standard courses in grades 10 through 12, students will finish their last 3 requirements for social studies for graduation credits at Ward Melville. Over the last 2 years, we have added honors levels at both the 10th and 11th grade components, offering students a challenge that they need without the pressure that some of them feel if they take these AP courses. So it gives them that nice kind of mid-level range for them to really be successful and still be challenged at the same time. Students can change levels throughout their years in the Social Studies Department, usually through teacher recommendation, but we do have options where students can self-select themselves into higher level courses. All courses, of course, with a graduation cap are those that students must take in order to graduate. Ward Melville High School has a robust elective program in the Social Studies Department, one that we are especially proud of, and we are always trying to reinvent ourselves a little bit every year. They have amazing opportunities to take these courses, and in order to reach a growing demographic and provide more cultural diversity, next year we're excited to announce that we will be offering AP African American Studies. This course will explore the rich history of African American people and their contributions to American history. The course is also in talks to be part of the ACE program through Stony Brook University. This is one of those self-selection courses where students at any level can take this class. We call it one of our low-stakes AP courses, in which students will be challenged, but hopefully with the option of the ACE credit, they can decide to take the AP exam, or they can just decide to get the credits through Stony Brook University. We're also looking to move our criminal justice and our economics programs over to Stony Brook from LIU, simply because a lot of our students seem to attend Stony Brook University, and it seems to make the transition a little bit easier. So we're very excited about that. All right, all about the numbers now, right? I'm not very good at numbers, so I apologize. Okay. So here we have the most recent results for U.S. and Global History Regents exams. This bar graph represents student performance on the June 2023 New York State Regents exams. The red bar indicates the passing rate of Three Village students with a score of 65 or higher. Compare that to the blue bar, which represents Suffolk County. Right? The yellow indicates students who achieve mastery, which is an 85 or higher on the exams. It's important to note that the June 2023 was the very first administration of the new U.S. Regents exam because it was unexpectedly canceled in June of 2022, and then we didn't have a January or an August. So this is actually the first year we've had June, January, and August. So hopefully next year I'll have a little bit more I will have better numbers with which to compare past and present results. Global history, I did not include any other demographics there because the exam had changed, and the last time it was really given for credit, we were using the transitional exam, which is not the same test as the students have taken recently. So again, next year, we'll have a little bit more aggregate data that we can actually compare and see how our students are improving. All right. Just to give you some ideas, we've had incredibly successful rates with our AP courses. This just gives you a comparison of students who scored a 3 or higher. The first bar is Three Village, the second bar is New York State, and the third bar is globally. So as you can see, in all areas, our students have been successful to the point where they've actually succeeded, superseded the results of the other demographics. All right. We have a large number of students that take EP courses throughout their career, and again, we're excited to add this new offering for them. So now we'll have AP African American Studies and AP Euro, and the kids can take both. Should be fun. One of our most popular low-stakes AP course, as we call them, is AP Psychology, and we tend to have over 150 students usually take that program. We have 6 sections of that class this year. So, okay. All right, New York State Civic Seal of Readiness. Civic Seal of Readiness is a program through New York State that is really designed to help students become global citizens and better U.S. citizens. The students earn the Civic Seal of Readiness by completing several tasks throughout their career in junior high school and in high school. Students need 6 points total. You have the column for civic knowledge, and this is essentially, they'll be doing this through their social studies classes, taking all of the course requirements, achieving passing or mastery grades, taking any advanced social studies courses, either honors or AP, and completing a research project will earn them points on this side. They need 2 points. The civic participation side will be required through social studies coursework, through projects, and community service. Students need 2 points in each column and 6 points total. Okay. The Civic Seal of Readiness may also be a standalone diploma seal for students who choose a different 4-1 pathway. Okay. All right. To navigate the many opportunities for students to earn the civic participation point for the Seal of Civic Readiness, the Social Studies Department has designated each grade level with a specific project. Teachers in each grade level have been working to create meaningful projects that embody the ideas of the Civic Seal. As you can see, students will begin to be exposed to the Civic Seal projects in grade 7, and they will be given multiple opportunities to earn the points that will give them the civic participation points on the right-hand side of the column. This year, our current 8th graders will be doing the middle school capstone project, and all 8th graders in both buildings will be doing this. It will be part of their final exam. Okay, students will invest in a research project, draw conclusions, propose solutions, and possibly even write letters to our representatives. Maybe they'll do the budget. Maybe they'll do the budget. All right, next. So, I have to give a lot of thanks and credit to Laura Pimentel and her team, because everything you see here right now is all thanks to them. And in fact, I was on the phone with her today, like about 2 hours ago, fixing another issue we noticed. So this is the student dashboard. Every student in Three Village from grades 7 to 12 have access to this dashboard. On this dashboard, they will be able to monitor and track their progress earning the points, how they earn the points. Also, they'll be able to track their community service. So that box down there in the lower right-hand corner, as students complete their community service hours starting in 7th grade, all of those hours will total all the way through to senior year. So they will literally be able to track all of their community service hours. Club advisors have been absolutely instrumental in making this a success as well, and I would like to thank the members, board, and advisors for student government for their willingness to act as our guinea pigs while we were testing this system out. Our first attempt was not as successful, and Laura and her team have built an incredible program. Okay. All right, so on my end, this is kind of what I can see. I can start tracking the number of students that are earning the seal, where they are earning the seal, how much progress they are making. As of January 2024, we currently have about 123 seniors who have already earned the Seal of Civic Readiness. This is compared to last year where we had 83. Now, remind you, this is only the second year of implementation of this program. Most of our seniors have not earned the points and will likely not earn them until they get closer to the end of the school year, when their clubs and community service hours have accumulated and the projects are completed. Future classes will be able to earn the seal much sooner. Next year, we'll have much better estimates by this time as to where we will be at the end of the school year. Okay. Students can participate in several contests, all of them you can find on our website, that can earn them monetary prizes or scholarships. This year, our 7th graders at Murphy all entered the Constitutional Day poster contest, and last year we had a student place 3rd in the National History Day contest, and I believe the same student is entering again this year. We hope to encourage more students to explore these opportunities in the years to come. The Social Studies Department has a robust after-school program. Our Model UN Club will head to New York City for its annual conference this March. Our History Club offers students the chance to explore and debate current events and topics that interest them. Rho Kappa, our Social Studies Honor Society, has had a very successful first year with over 50 students as members. The advisors have helped students participate in numerous school events and work to promote the ideas of responsible citizenship. Over the course of the next 2 years, we hope to introduce Rho Kappa Junior to the students in grade 8. All right. I'm not going to read you our goals, but I'll summarize them. The social studies staff members are dedicated to their craft and afford themselves of every opportunity to improve, and this explains why many of our goals are to help students who may not think they can achieve mastery take an AP class or enter a contest to give them a try. In conjunction with our English colleagues, we hope to further develop the civic component of news literacy by continuing our relationship with Stony Brook University. We had a collaborative session during Superintendent's Conference Day where Howard Schneider from Stony Brook University came and spoke to our teachers about this program, and the News You Can Use class, the one that works at Murphy and Jolinas, the advisors for those programs have embraced those ideas and incorporated them into their programs. Thank you so much. And if you have any questions, I'll try my best to answer. Sure.
It's way back on one of the early slides. You show kids going off to courses at LIU and Stony Brook.
Sure.
How does that work in practice? I don't really understand how that works.
So students that are enrolled in, for example, economics honors and criminal justice honors, also, and our sociology course and our human rights and genocide class, we all have college courses tied to those programs, so students can pay the fee and complete the projects that they need to in order to be given college credit through those universities. So we have several. We have Suffolk County, Suffolk Community College, LIU, and hopefully we'll be adding Stony Brook University. So students can earn college credit. They can, if they take all of these courses, they can walk out of the social studies department with 12 credits.
Mm-hmm. So many of the colleges are not taking the AP exam
Yes.
credits any longer. However, they will take these as transfer credits when they apply. So we've had students in the district, and the guidance department can confirm this, up to 30 credits they've walked out of the district with, which basically makes them sophomores when they get to college. Years ago, many colleges would allow students to graduate early. They suddenly realized that a lot of schools like Ward Bevel High School and schools like us throughout the country, they were losing money by students doing that. So what they allow them to do now is test up into different courses as they come in. But we have affiliation agreements throughout all the departments with about 7 different colleges and universities in the United States.
So this is, so the reason I'm asking is really so that people understand this, the parents understand this. Like, I understand what you're saying, but there was a student that I was working with. He finished university in 3 years because of these programs, right? He wasn't from our school district, but it really is fabulous for him.
Yep.
He moved on much quicker and saved a lot of money as well.
Yeah, and the courses are very reasonable, $300 for 3 credits.
And mom hack, you
Yep.
have to pay the money and sign up early. So make sure your kids actually tell you,
Yes.
because there is a deadline very early in the academic year where you have to sign up. It's not automatic that you get the credits.
Yes, they do have to sign up, and it's interesting that some choose not to, and then they do well in the course, and they're asked to do a little bit extra, and then they don't. So encourage them to sign up.
That's right. Anybody else? Any questions, thoughts? That was an excellent presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay.
All right, Dr. Biscari, we will leave it with you for item 6C, learning loss in math.
Okay, so the data that I provided to you is a little bit different than the data that I had provided last time. The reading diagnostic information is different from the benchmark assessment data. So I provided you with some graphs of iReady data because that's the only data that we do have, as I mentioned in the past. And it is normed nationally in the sense that the company has created what they feel are grade level expectations. So just the straight to the point, like, yes, there has been some learning loss directly after COVID, but we are making rebounds, and we're moving in the right trajectory in regard to this data. Again, compared to New York State and the nation, we significantly outperform them, but there is a need for us to have more localized data for us to really dive deep into how we're doing and what we can do better to improve.
Is there anything the board can do to support you in getting that data?
Well, we're doing some things internally, and obviously we're pushing the opt-in. Our philosophy for students to participate in the grades 3 through 8 testing. As I've said in the past, we haven't had significant data that we can really use since 2013, which is a long time to not be able to evaluate our instructional program. So that would be one, and we did see an increase last year. I think our third graders' participation rate went up to 71%, which was a significant increase. We're hopeful that that continues to increase so that we can take that data and use it. And as the more students that participate, the better representative it is of our population, and we can use it to evaluate our instructional program and find ways to improve. But like I said in the past as well, we are creating things internally within our curriculum writing projects and within departments in grades 3 through 8, so that we are developing common assessments that we can use that data for our students of our district to help with our instructional program and help them to grow appropriately.
Other thoughts, questions?
Well, first of all, thank you for doing this, and I won't ask a lot of questions because Karen claims I sound like a crank when I talk about elementary math. So I just want to emphasize what Sue said, that it would be really good to create some stable local benchmarks, but I know you're doing that, and everybody's pointed in the right direction. Okay, so now I'm going to shut up.
All right. There you go. Well, thank you. We are working at that currently.
So one of the things that you asked with the board, I think we just need to make a concerted effort to encourage parents in the community to allow their students to take the assessments in 3 through 8. One of the things that all school districts in the state get cited for is we must have a 95% participation rate on the assessments. And it's not just the overall from the 3 through 8, it's each individual grade level and then subcategories in each of those grade levels, including gender, race, ethnicity, students with special needs, you name it, E&L, all of them get cited. If we do not have a 95% participation rate, the district can get cited. Beyond what Dr. Biscari is indicating, that it allows parents to also see their student in comparison to other students throughout the state of New York. It's one of the single ways we can do this, so that they have some accurate information about what their performance levels are looking like. So I want to reemphasize is that The tests are no longer written by a third-party vendor. We have participation by members of the teachers' units throughout the state of New York, administrators that participate in helping write these exams. The same is true with Regents exams. That they really shouldn't be opting out of or can't opt out of because it's a graduation requirement. But the state assessments, we've had this movement way back since, as Dr. Viscari indicated, 2012-13, when the opt-out movement occurred in conjunction with the APPR process that was put into place in the state. So we really want to try to emphasize the fact that we would love to have that participation rate by all the students. There's only one subgroup in the entire district that meets the full 90%, actually gets almost 100%, and that's the IG students. But that's a whole nother story.
So let me dip into that a little bit. How can we support that? So a lot of it was parents misunderstanding. Well, no. Back then, it wasn't a misunderstanding. They were trying to support teachers, and now there's a misunderstanding that by opting out, that's no longer effective. It's not needed, and it's not necessary. So if a parent wanted to speak to a classroom teacher, can the teacher advocate for the student to sit for the tests? Yes?
They can, yes.
So, yeah. So parents, if you have any concerns, whether this is the right thing to do or appropriate, then, yeah, talk to your teachers.
And they can always contact my office as well if they'd like to speak directly about what their concerns are. As a building principal, I think as years went on, I would ask the question just out of curiosity, not talk people out of it, because ultimately it's their choice. But inquiring about why people continue to opt out, and a majority of the responses that I got was because they had previously opted out, that their students tell them that everybody opts out, that nobody takes the assessment. So the reasons that were originally given and provided and of concern, that started to dwindle over time, and I don't think people have realized that their original concerns have been addressed. So we're trying to send out those infographics that Ms. Pimentel has created through her office. We did it once already when we sent out a notification about the testing dates, and we'll continue to do that.
Thank you. Anybody else? Excellent. Okay, so we're going to move on to 7A. Who would like to start this? Mr. Carlson?
Sure. A request was made by the board to solicit a couple of transportation consultant services proposals to review the information related to changing start times. So one proposal is from a firm that's based in upstate New York, Transportation Advisory Services, and the other is from an organization called the Center for Effective School Operations, which is based in Minnesota, and that was a recommendation from Dr. McKinnon that we contact them for a proposal. So
Okay,
they are.
so everybody's had a chance to look at the proposals. Different, in a lot of different ways. What do we think?
In reading them, they were very different. The CESO, I guess the Central, to me, seemed much more in-depth and looked like they had knowledge of what we are asking them to do. So it's kind of having them come and look at our transportation routes and wishes and wants along with start times. And it looks like they really get that, and that's part of their philosophy in doing what they do. They also had information in there on different schools that they worked with to change their start times with utilizing the buses that they had. So I think that they were absolutely the best out of the two. I also, the only thing I did not see in there, which I think we need to add in, is that we need to have them do a proposal and information on what our buses look like now, but we also should have one if we close an elementary school, what the buses would look like then. So we need to give them a scenario to look at both, because it's not going to make sense in the 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, or whenever, if it happens or if it doesn't, we close an elementary school, then this was kind of a moot point to even have them come in. So we kind of need proposals for both scenarios. Thank you.
Thank you. Who'd like to speak next? Shall we?
So CESO didn't propose any of the cost.
Yes, I did.
What?
Look at the bottom.
What is the cost?
About 29. right? About
Right, the
29,000.
one, the Center for Effective School Operations was 29,500.
That's a fix. Is that fixed fee?
Well, it's a fixed fee for, in accordance with their proposal, but then that's for what they call phase one. Phase two, which can include, I'm just reading from their proposal, phase two, which can include a variety of deliverables and meeting attendance, will be billed separately and based on a combination of billable hours and on-site visitations as requested by us. The consultant billable rate is $160 per hour, and a consultant billable day on site, inclusive of any hours incurred during the visit, is $960 per day.
Right. So my concern is really about the second cost. This is similar for both proposal. The fixed fee is controllable. We know how much they charge. But then this consolable, it's quite high rate. It's 150, 60 per hour and 1,000 per day. I don't know how much we expect to have this consultation. I assume it will be quite some because we have to know why they suggest this or
Yeah,
not.
and that would be up to the board to decide. They would prepare their proposal, their report.
Right.
Deliver that to us, we would deliver it to the board. If the board would then say, now we can either do, as Karen suggested, we can ask them to revise their proposal to include other services and include it in a one price thing, or that can get added on separately afterwards, but then that's the $960 a day or $160 an hour. If the board were to want them to do a more in-depth study than what they do, or if the board were to want them to come to a board meeting or committee meetings or that kind of thing, that's where the additional charges would apply. But that's really up to the board to decide how much more you would want than what they would do.
If we only need a report and a revised report, we don't have to call them in, and then we can remove all the charge, the bill.
Then it would be the 29,500, unless if we were to say, well, we want something, we might be able to work something in while they're doing it, say, well, and also include in what you do, what if we close one of the elementary schools? Let's see what that would look like too.
For example, if they provide the first report, we're not happy with it, and we ask for several changes, does that include in the first fixed fee, or we have to pay extra for that? That's my concern.
Extra. I can't really answer that question. It would be kind of dependent on when we get the report. If we get a 2-page report and they just say, yeah, no, everything looks good.
Exactly.
Give us our $29,000, that's, I'm sure, we would ask Chris to help us with saying, hey, come on.
Looks to me there isn't a quality control over this first version of the reports for both of them.
Well, that's sometimes the problem with, a consultant. I mean, we're saying,
Exactly.
come in and tell us what you think we could be doing better
Right.
or differently.
Yeah. So I'm not quite convinced about this consulting service.
Okay, so I was reasonably impressed with the CSO's proposal, the CSO proposal. We asked around a little bit. They seem to be considered good. My only caveat would be that we should talk to some people who have actually hired them and seen how it worked out. So I'm happy to vote for them tonight. They were clearly better than the other group. They crossed threshold for me. They were fine as far as I could see. They gave a sort of brief case study in their proposal, but it wasn't sufficient detail to really understand what was done. So I would want to speak to at least 2 people that have hired them and ask them for references. Now, they did actually give school districts that they'd worked for, so we could contact them directly, independently of the company. One of them is in Connecticut, and just find out, and to address Sherry's question, we can find out what the total cost was, where they felt they could have done better financially. So based on their reputation, they've got a long-standing reputation in the field, they're fine. But let's do a little bit of due diligence here.
Can they provide some example reports so I can expect what they will deliver?
We should be able to get a report from say, the the Connecticut School District, I'm just blanking on the name of the district that they use, but we should be able to get that report and look at it.
Yeah, that will help.
Yeah.
Dr. Kerman, did you have any thoughts?
Nope, I'm perfectly fine with, with what everybody's saying.
Okay, so I would just,
We have to check on these people more.
understood, and I would like to hear from Mr. Carlson and Dr. Scanlon. Do you have any feeling one company toward the other based on your conversations?
I'll let you.
Well, I mean, I think this one that we're talking about, the Center for Effective School Operations, has done more work on, they seem to have done more work nationwide on start time specifically. The other firm, as I mentioned at a previous board meeting, I did work with them once. It was in 1997. It was my first assistant superintendent position, and we did not, in that district, we had our own transportation. We did not have a transportation director. That was part of my job. And when I started, it was a mess. And one of the charges I had from the board was clean up the mess. And I used that firm to help with that. That had nothing to do with start time. That was on, we had a lousy computer system for doing routes. And so it was a lot of that, cleaning up the routes themselves. So I don't know how much experience that firm has in doing start time specific type work. So, and certainly if the board is more comfortable, it seems to be more comfortable with the other firm, we could certainly, and I'm sure if I asked them for a couple of reports that they had done for other school districts, I'm sure they would be more than happy to give them to us.
Dr. Scanlon?
I agree with Mr. Carlson's perception of that, you get sometimes what you pay for, and if you have a more experienced company that's been doing this a lot longer, and particularly some school districts are in our vicinity, and we probably should look to them more. We can certainly ask them for a draft version of a report, or direct us to a district that may have that already posted online. Part of those things when we have consultants in, especially with a topic like this, which has some emotional reaction in the community both ways. Maybe having part of that is they come and present their findings to the board, so that it's transparent to the community what they've done, that we're not filtering it for anyone, that there's not any perception that we're playing games with the numbers or doing anything with the numbers, that the community hears directly from the consultant in front of the board and can make their own choice at that particular point in time.
I forgot to second something that Karen said. Hopefully there's a certain amount of synergy here associated with rationalizing transport costs and rationalizing the buildings, that we should definitely explore that to see if we can get more savings there. I understand there's a certain upfront cost here, but over 10 years that amortizes pretty quickly if we could come up with substantial savings. So we should understand at least what our options are in that regard.
So is everybody comfortable voting on one or the other right now without those references or examples of reports?
Can I ask which one is more experienced with start time?
Well, based on what I've seen, it's the more expensive one, Center for Effective School Operations.
Karen, you'd be okay with that?
Yep.
Okay, so may I have a motion to?
Can I
Sorry?
just ask a question now?
Yes.
So, I mean, I'll still get the reports from a couple of other reports that they've done. So if it's approved tonight, am I telling them tomorrow, let's get started? Because it's going to take some time. Or is it wait till you have a chance to review the reports and then decide?
Let's
just
not
wanna make
wait.
sure.
We waited already too long.
Well,
Actually,
that's because, I mean,
yeah,
the next
well,
board meeting is not till March 6th, and if I get the reports and send them to you, I just want to know if I can call them tomorrow. If you approve it now, can I call them tomorrow and say, let's get started immediately? Or is it, let's review the reports first?
You turn your mic on.
Sorry. Let's wait. We can look at those reports very quickly and figure out what's going on. That's not going to take us long. If they're motivated, they'll get it to us in a day. We take another day to look at it. So let's wait 2 or 3 days and just be sure. We can always red flag it and say, no, this is not good enough quality. But I would vote for it now because of what you said, but then just do a QC.
Got it. Just wanted to make sure I
Right, because I think it
marching
would
orders
also
correctly.
be beneficial. I mean, I also agree, I think we should vote that this is the consultant that we're using, but they do need to come back to us on doing both proposals, as is now with closing a school, so that's a change. And maybe, like Dr. Scanlon said, include in that proposal that they're going to come here to present. So instead of us going with the consulting fees, wherever that might be, they should be giving us a full comprehensive fee for both of those two options, plus maybe coming one time to speak. And if they give us a round number for that, so at least we know what we're paying for. And then if something happens, beyond that, we want them to expand, then we can use their consulting fees. But that should be included in what we're using.
Sounds good.
Everybody's comfortable with that? All right, so we need a motion, please, to approve for CISO. Second? All in favor? Okay, so they're approved. And just thinking out loud here, once we had the report, and let's say they do come to a board meeting and present the data so the public has a chance to chew on it, could we possibly do a follow-up survey, kind of like we did with the restructuring, so that the staff and the community have all had a chance to kind of look at it, see what this means, kind of digest what the changes might be to different building start times and all of that?
I think that would be a wonderful idea, and at that particular point in time, to be, again, transparent with the community, perhaps we would have an idea of which, if there is any movement of schools or time for schools, whether it's secondary or elementary, that we're indicating clearly which schools those are, which school we potentially might be thinking about closing, even though that's not our recommendation from the original proposal from the Strategic Planning Committee. Bless you. We at least have that all up front, so the community can be informed about what the decision would be, and make an informed judgment on that.
Okay. All right, we'll move on now to 7B. This is the Suffolk Region BOCES PTA Showcase and Dinner. It's coming up on the 13th down in Bellport. Unfortunately, there's a BAC meeting that night, so several of us who are part of the BAC can't be at that. But I would encourage the other board members to maybe form a contingent to go down there. It's really a lovely evening. So all of the students in the various BOCES programs, they put the whole night together. So you come in, it's a very grand ballroom, it's decorated. So for instance, students made the floral arrangements. Students prepare all of the food. Students are serving the food. Students are giving the speeches. And then you do breakout sessions where you get to go to 2 or 3 different programs to see what they're like. So like I went to the flight training one, I've been to the nurse one, I was at one of the culinary programs, and you really do walk away with a much better sense of what some of these really amazing BOCES programs are, and I think that makes us stronger to advocate and share that information with the community. So just putting it out there, if you guys could look at your calendars and see if that's something you could do on the 13th.
So I'm proud to say that we, from last year to this year, we had about 30 students last year in the BOCES programs. We're over 77 now. So that we're making some progress with interest from students in wanting to be part of these programs. So we do have students that will be present for this event that evening. So it'd be nice to see if when you see some of your own board members from your own district, it's encouraging to them. So this would be something wonderful to do. I think in many ways the BOCES programs, over the course of years, there was a lot of stigma attached to BOCES programs. If anyone wants a true test of what that looks like, go find out how much a welder makes on Long Island and compare it to the cost of college, or a mechanic. My mechanic drives a Mercedes. And see what those opportunities are out there. From our size district, we should probably have a lot more students that would express interest in these programs. Part of the issue for us is that the distance, we're the furthest west in Eastern Suffolk BOCES to go to some of the programs. So it does preclude some of our students from wanting to be part of those types of programs. But we're seeing a big increase in it. And I will just give a shout out for tomorrow night. We have the career fair at Ward Melville High School, which will hopefully expose more students to a lot of opportunities that are available in career paths out there. And we thank the IAB and all of the members of the board there and the members of our community who participate in that event tomorrow night.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to move on to 8 now, items for board action, which I'll turn over to Mr. Carlson in a second. But in advance, I would like to say thank you very much to you and to everybody at the BAC meeting the other night. I wasn't able to be there, but it was a really robust conversation, a really good conversation, and I hope you can sort of fill everybody in on how that went, how close it was, and what the ultimate recommendations were.
Sure. So just to kind of refresh everyone's memory, and also for people who have not been listening to any of the previous discussion about this, there's an exemption, a tax exemption that is allowable by New York State for senior citizens, meaning 65 and over, or persons with disabilities. That's their term. And it's income-based. There are currently 10 income level brackets, and the amount of exemption goes from as low as 5% up to 50% in increments of 5%. There's 10 brackets of assessed value that is exempt from school tax. So the current income, so the state says local governments, which include school districts, can authorize this exemption if that board, whether it's, in our case, school board, it could be a village, it could be a town, it could be a county. So if the board approves authorizing those exemptions, this is the maximum income level for each of those brackets. That's what the state says. Then the board can agree to that and offer that exemption. And it can also have less, it can lower those income levels. It can't go more than those income levels as set by the state. And in the past, the state would, every several years, increase those income levels by a little bit, maybe $1,000, maybe a little less. They haven't increased the income levels since 2009. So now what the state did is they increased them by pretty substantially. So right now, the highest exemption, 50%, is the senior citizen or person with disabilities has to have an income of below $29,000. And then 10 separate brackets all the way down, income up, exemption down to 5% of $37,400. So as you can see, the income levels, the brackets themselves aren't very large. Some are $1,000, some are as low as about $700. So the new maximum allowable goes from below $29,000 to below $50,000. And so what the board can do now is authorize the exemption to go anywhere up to that, for the 50% exemption, $50,000, or something less. So we had discussed it previously at a board meeting. We've had several discussions about it. And in order for any change to be effective for the upcoming school year, 2024-25, it has to be approved, any change has to be approved by the board by the end of February, this month. So this is the only board meeting we have this month. So any change would have to be voted on tonight in order for it to be effective for next school year. So the board had said, well, we have the Budget Advisory Committee. Why not get their opinion on it? So at the first Budget Advisory Committee, we went over, explained it. And then at this most recent Budget Advisory Committee meeting last week, we had more discussion, and the committee voted, each individual on the committee voted as to what they would, well, first, I'm sorry, there were two votes. First was, should the board increase the exemptions from where they are? And the vote was, I think it was 21-1, saying yes, increase them. So then it was, okay, how much should the increase be? And the options were, when I say 100%, I mean go to the new maximum. That's 100%. 50% would be halfway between current and the new max. 25% similar, and same with 75%. Those were the options. 11 people voted to go all the way to the new max. 9 said go halfway from current to the new max. 1 said 25%, and 1 came up with their own formula. So the majority voted, or the most votes went to going all the way to the new max, but it was very close. It was 11 for that, 9 to go halfway. Now, as I've said before, what makes it tricky for the board is we don't know, there's no way to know how many people will now get this exemption. How many people who well, we do know that the people who currently, even if they get the 5%, would go, even if we went halfway to the new levels, they would automatically go up to the 50%, and it would open it up, the exemptions up to a whole new group of people. How many? No idea. We have no idea how income levels of people. So it's hard to say how much it will cost everyone else, because with an exemption, it's not that the school district pays for it. It's not like we get less tax money. It means we still get the same dollar amount of taxes, but it gets the assessed values determine how that tax levy gets divided up among all of the property owners in the district. So for one person to pay a little less, it means everyone else pays a little more. How much more in this case? No idea. So that's the tricky part in doing it. Now, a couple of things that were discussed were, well, what if, and this was one of the members of the Budget Advisory Committee, said, well, what if, since 2009, those income levels increased by the same percent that our tax levy increased each of those years? And so he put that together, and it came out pretty similar to what the new max allowable is. So there's that argument that, well, if they had gone up a little bit each year, it would be similar to this. But they didn't go up each year. So now it's up to the board to decide. And so here's the decisions. Do you want to change them at all? Because you don't have to. If you do want to increase the income levels, do you want to go to the new max or somewhere in between? So I just prepared two charts, but it doesn't mean that the board's only limited to that. One is if we go all the way to the new maximum, and one is if we go halfway between where it is now and where the new one. But you could certainly pick something else if you choose. So.
All right, I open it up for discussion.
Just curious, how did it work? If the tax levy increased by 2% per year, and we are increasing from 30 to 50, that's more than 10 years.
Well, the tax levy did not increase 2% a year, even though it's tax. Well, actually, the tax cap didn't start till 2012. So before that, there was not a tax cap.
It was much higher.
Well, some years it definitely was a lot higher. And then even since tax cap, it doesn't mean it's always 2%. There are some years where it's a little higher than that. So it didn't come out to exactly what the new levels were. So I don't want to make it sound like, oh, look, it came out exactly. It's not all that far off. So.
Okay. Just curious how the number goes.
Yeah.
Okay, so people have heard this spiel before, but I'll give it again. The property taxes are regressive taxes. If you have no income in your house, but you own a house, you're paying 20K in property taxes. If you earn 20K that year, you're paying 100% of your income. You earn 80K, you earn 25. You're paying 25% of your income. You earn 200K, you're paying 100% of your income. It's not a pure regressive tax because people with higher incomes tend to buy more expensive houses, but it's always a regressive tax in general because they tend to buy houses that are still somewhat less than the increase in their salary. You can't soak the rich with a regressive tax. You soak those at the bottom end of the income with the scale. The senior citizen exemption, which is what we're voting on, reduces regressiveness of the property tax by setting an income level, and in this respect it's an unalloyed good. Unfortunately, the side effect is that we have to increase the regressive tax on the rest of the community, which is problematic, and Jeff has explained that in some detail. I personally will back either 100% or 50%. Hopefully we get a consensus for one of those. I just want to thank Rochelle Pollack. She's been an incredibly effective advocate for seniors here. I knew nothing about this particular issue. She came in at considerable cost to herself. Seniors, my parents just recently died. They don't have very many effective advocates. They're not very effective at advocating for themselves. She was both, I felt, an emotionally effective advocate and made a sacrifice here. So however this goes, I think she should get something of an acknowledgement.
Indeed. Karen?
Hi. I definitely think we need to increase it in some way. We do have an obligation to help our elderly if they need to. My concern is that unfortunately, this change came at a year where we are facing changes that we've never seen before. So we have no idea if our state aid is really going to be cut $9 million or $8 million, or if it's going to be half of that or none of that. We're kind of in flux right now. And as a board member, I don't feel that I could be adding extra monetary burden to our taxpayers. So while I think we need to increase it, I definitely would not go above 50%, because we need to see how much money that is going to cost every other tax member. We have no idea. It could be $50, it could be $200. We have no clue. And unfortunately, if we do have to decrease our budget by $9 million, there's going to be other added costs to our tax members. If we're increasing class sizes, people might need a tutor or something else, and there's going to be more money coming out of their pockets. So I'm just not comfortable increasing that to 100% until we see what's going on and how much that is going to affect each of our tax members. So I think it should be increased, but we should start with 50.
I personally would favor 50. Emotionally, 100 sounds great, but there's too much of an unknown, and it doesn't seem fair or responsible to throw that added burden on other people who might be just on the edge. Even though the edge is moving, there's still going to be people right on the edge, and that those extra little bit, whether it's $50, $100, whatever it is, can make a difference for some. So I say we do 50 this year, and we can revisit it next year and see what the impact of that actually was on the average taxpayer in Three Village.
I agree with the 50%. That's what I would be in favor of.
Okay, so do we have a motion to do a reduction?
moved.
Second? 50%, all in favor? Okay, thank you, and thank you for all of your work on this. We appreciate it. All right, we're going to move on to our consent agenda now. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? Okay. And we'll begin with item B, Ms. Germano.
Yeah, the minutes from the January 24th board meeting.
Thank you. And C, Dr. Scanlon.
So now we have the official of a proposal for the 2024-25 school year calendar, and we'll just take you through this briefly, month by month. So next school year would begin on September 3rd, which is the Tuesday after Labor Day. The teachers and the administrators are back the week prior to that. There are no holidays other than Labor Day in the month of September. October, Rosh Hashanah falls on the 3rd and 4th of October, which is a Thursday and Friday. There'll be a 4-day weekend in the first weekend in October. Yom Kippur falls on a Saturday, the 12th. So it is. We will have no activities on the evening of the 11th. That also falls on Columbus Day weekend or Indigenous Peoples Day for that day. In November, we're following along with the BOCES calendar, putting Diwali on the calendar for the 1st of November. That will provide a 3-day weekend that weekend. The 5th of November is Election Day. That's a professional development day for our administrators and teachers. This is a presidential election year, so it's Election Day. That weekend following is Veterans Day weekend on Monday, the 11th. We will have 3 days off for Thanksgiving, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving itself on the Friday after. December, the first Friday in December, the 6th, is a conference day for the secondary teachers, and that's also parent-teacher conferences at the elementary level. The first winter break will go from December 23rd to January 1st. We'll be back in school for the 2nd and 3rd. January also will have Martin Luther King Day on the 20th, Monday the 20th, 3-day weekend there. Lunar New Year is in the middle of the week next year. It's on the 29th. That is to be recognized officially by the state. So we are working around that day for the regents and midterms. February break is intact from President's Day on the 17th all the way through that week. In March, Eid al-Fitr is recognized on March 31st. In April, Passover and Easter. Passover falls before Easter and spring break. Easter is a Sunday, the 20th. And then for May, the 26th of May is Memorial Day. If we don't use any snow days, which, knock on wood, we haven't used any so far this year, Just let you know that if we don't use both this year, you have a 6-day Memorial Day weekend this year. Next year, you will have, because you're already off the Friday, we put that on the calendar, and Monday. For next year, it would be the 23rd Friday, and the 27th will be a 5-day weekend. June 6th is Eid al-Adha. It will be recognized by the district. The festivities for that event starts on the evening of the 5th and runs through, so there'll be no evening activities then. Juneteenth falls on June 19th, which is a Thursday, and the last day of school next year is a Friday, June 27th, which means prom goes back to being on a Thursday again, and our graduation will be on the 29th. Now, the one thing I will forewarn you about, there are some concerns within our community about the additional holidays being added on for the different religious and cultural groups in the community. It doesn't seem to be an issue for next year, but the 25-26 school year may present some issues for us, so we need to be attentive to that. There is a strong possibility that some of our traditional breaks may be impacted by this, including February break, which has been on the calendar since the Carter administration. And it was designed to actually save fuel oil. They didn't realize it in the Northeast. We had to still heat the buildings in the wintertime, so it's a leftover from that long ago. I was in elementary school at that time, so it's been a long time since it's been in effect. But we will address the 25-26 school calendar next year. We're just going through this tonight, so it's on the board's agenda for your approval.
Any questions? Okay, well, personally, I think it's a great calendar, and I'm very pleased to see those additional holidays recognized. All right.
Can we vote on that calendar?
It's in the consent agenda, so at the end.
Okay.
Okay?
Get it
All
all
right.
together.
So moving on to 9D, Mr. Carlson.
Some of this I'm going to have to defer to Mr. Mustecki. It's relating to commencing action, contracting with a law group to commence a legal action. I don't know, Chris, how much of this we can and can't say.
This is with regard to the litigation involving against social media companies. That's as much as we could say at this point.
Thank you. And Mr. Carlson will stay with you for the next couple.
Sure. The next item is a contract for outside service provider for speech and language translation services. Item F is a health and welfare services contract with Middle Country School District. This is for students that are Three Village residents and attend private school located within the Middle Country School District. Item after that is declaration of surplus equipment. We have a maintenance van, a 2003 maintenance van that is in pretty much shot condition. And that's it for me.
Okay, any questions about any of those items? Thank you. All right, Dr. Biscari will turn the next couple to you.
I'm sorry.
Sure.
Going back to the tax exemption.
Yes.
I just want to clarify if Dr. Kerman, the motion it's technically two separate exemptions. One is for senior citizens with limited incomes, and the other is persons with disabilities and limited incomes. And the motion was for both.
For both.
Just
Correct.
wanted to make sure we got that straight.
Thank you. All right, for H and I, Dr. Biscari.
H is just an affiliation agreement with Adelphi University for the clinical placement of their students in our district. And I is another revision from the state in regard to our impartial hearing officers.
Any questions about either of those? Okay. I, recommendations of the Committee on Special Education Subcommittee and 504 Accommodation Plan meetings as dated. And K, recommendations of the Committee on Preschool Special Education meetings as dated. And beginning with L, we turn it over to Dr. Dabrowski.
L is the stipulation of settlement resolving a impartial hearing of a student with disability that was filed earlier in the school year.
I will continue on with M. M is a memorandum of agreement regarding a part-time account clerk that will be working for MESTRAC. We typically do this during reorg, but because there was a separation during the middle of the year, it necessitated it a hire in the middle of the year. So that's why we have that.
I just question on that. So that position we get reimbursed for, correct?
Correct. N, personnel items instructional. Now is the time of year where we continue to see an influx of the retirement letters come in. So we currently have on tonight's agenda 12 instructional retirements. We have several instructional resignations, the appointment of several substitute teachers, various appointments to high school and junior high school spring coaching, and various appointments to the 23-24 hourly and daily extra assignments. Non-instructional, we have an additional clerical retirement there. We have several non-instructional resignations, including custodians, child care assistants, sub-monitors, and sub-clerical. We have the appointment of several non-instructional positions, including clerical, security, and a child care assistant. We have 2 changes in status for our custodial workers, appointment of 1 water safety instructor, and various appointments to summer rec program assignments. And now the add-ons. Okay. P. P is the approval of a stipulation of settlement and release between the Three Village School District and the employee named in the attached confidential Schedule A that was discussed in executive session. Q is the approval of memorandum of agreement between Three Village School District and the Three Village Teachers Association regarding the one-time retirement incentive option.
Thank you. Any questions on any of that?
You're welcome.
Okay. All in favor? Any opposed? No abstentions? All right. Consent agenda carries, and unless there is anything else, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? All in favor? All right. Have a nice February break, everybody.